Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There you go, right down there. If you want to be among the first to hear my weekly takes, NFL, college football, more, right there. I find Lamar Jackson fascinating. And there's so many comps with Lamar, but I think what I like most about Lamar is that your opinion of Lamar will tell me everything about you, the person. Because in order to love Lamar, you can't be rigid. You have to accept initial opinions are wrong, including your own. Because Lamar is now an elite pocket passer. Lamar wins 80% of his games. Lamar and Josh Allen, Mahomes is maybe the more refined quarterback. Lamar and Josh are the hardest players to frankly defend because when they want to run, it's kind of, you can't do anything about it. They're bigger, faster, stronger than other people. And that what's fascinating about Lamar, when people tell me they don't like Lamar, it doesn't tell me anything about Lamar. It tells me about the person, that you struggle with change, that you struggle with things that aren't conforming to your initial view. If you go into Lamar, this whole thing about the pocket quarterback, if you watch football, you can't tell me he can't throw from the pocket. He doesn't have a top tight end. It's OBJ, a rookie and a second-year guy. He literally is so dangerous that San Francisco's Warners and Bosa's and Chase Youngs are afraid to rush him. Is that Lamar is a classic. It's like if you tell me you vote for Trump, I don't need to know. I can kind of frame who you are and what matters to you. If you tell me you don't like Lamar, it's like they used to joke, every sports writer ever loves Springsteen. Right?
Yeah, I think
it's a profile for it. And so it is funny with Lamar. When I watch him play, I can't imagine not saying, that's one of the top three guys in the league. But it is amazing how many people still struggle with him.
Well, I think it's two things. One is, I think you're right. Like, there is a level of either rigidity or I'm convinced. It's not the same. But it's people who even, 2 MVPs and a championship in were like, not sure about Steph Curry. Not sure if that can win in the NBA. It's like, oh, that couldn't win in the NBA that used to exist. Right. And that maybe you wish came back. But in today's NBA, that can be one of the 3 best players in the league. That style, that thing. And you just don't want to accept that the world or the game has changed. The Lamar thing is almost has felt for his whole career a little more nefarious. There's almost a level of, it's not just that he's black, but it's that the way he carries himself and that he is so unashamedly himself that some people have been like, I don't want that guy to be the best quarterback in the league or the MVP in a level that other black quarterbacks didn't threaten them the same way, like Mahomes or other guys that were like, okay, no. Yeah, that's more okay. So there was, to me, always a level of that. But then there also is the level of people have a really hard time doing what I think you do really well. And somehow people give you shit for it, which is, hey, guess what? Changed my mind. Like, hey, I thought this. I watched more games. I saw more things, and I've changed my mind on something. And so I think there were a lot of people that planted their flag. This guy is just an athlete, not a quarterback. And then any evolution he makes, they won't give him credit for or won't want to. Now, I want to be clear. Like, I was skeptical that the offensive coordinator change was going to work. I thought in the loaded AFC, the Ravens could miss the playoffs. It's not like I've been like, oh my God, he's going to have this monster year. But as he was having it, I was not in denial that it was happening. I wasn't like, no, I mean, you know what? I think it's Isaiah Likely carrying him. It's like I watched the games. Like because there's another quarterback that I think is almost the inverse, which is, I think that people deep down don't think is good, but are either afraid of going against the numbers or they think it's mean, and so they lie to themselves, and that's Tua. I think that there is a level of, if you watch a lot of football, you're like, well, he's a small, doesn't have a big arm, is not, if he is athletic or he's not, it doesn't really matter because unfortunately he can't really run because he can't get hit because of the concussion stuff. And he needs everything perfect for it to work,
including
everything
the weather.
Perfect. Everything. People, I've never heard such a thing in the NFL where people just basically, and I think they were serious, were like, yeah, I know the Chiefs beat an 11-win team by 19 points, but you got to almost put an asterisk on it because it was fucking cold. And they're like, and we all know Miami's can't deal with that. Like they came from Venus. And it's like, oh, this is not fair. This is not their climate. It's professional football players, but they're, by the way, not wrong. It's like, you're correct. Can't deal with it. So all these things. But there was, to me, a push, especially about midway through this year, where folks in our profession would do almost this rhetorical thing. Well, what more do you want him to do? Leads the league in passer rating, leads the league in this stat. What more does he have to do to convince you? And I would listen to this and I'd be like, okay, either one of two things. Either you're just doing, a Captain Easy stance. Like this will be a popular opinion. Miami fans will be happy for me. Or you, I feel, have a fundamental misunderstanding of how football works. Because what I want him to do is something I think he's physically incapable of doing, which is be one of the 8 to 10 human beings alive that when shit is bad and you have to just make it happen, you can. Yeah. And we know he can't.
Right.
And so it's like, what can he do? Unfortunately, the answer is nothing. Like nothing. Like there is not, and people would try to be like, oh, you're underrating what he does with his eyes and how he moves defenders. And I'm like, you're just bullshitting. Like you're just saying all these things because you agree with me that if a game comes down to can you make the throws, you don't have the guy. And then after this playoff loss, and this is what would just kill me if I were Mike McDaniel. After the playoff loss, some of the narrative switched to, okay, guys, I know he's smart and I know he gives good quotes, but how much blame should Mike McDaniel get here? And my response would be, if I'm him, like, okay, so now, because I have gotten the absolute most anyone could ever get out of this quarterback, now it has turned into, it's my fault we didn't go further because you've tricked yourself into thinking we have someone we don't have at quarterback. They're like, why do they fall apart once the weather changes and the teams get better? Because our quarterback can't throw it 30 yards in a stiff wind.
That's right.
And everyone knows it. Everyone knows it.
No, it is. The media can be protective on that. I mean, it's kind of what the media does. Like Jon Stewart said this years ago, just enough conservatives are just enough right when they say the media is in the bag for the left. There's just enough examples where you're like, yeah, well, you kind of, it's like the media oversteps places that it shouldn't, overstep. And I think sometimes the media is protective and they choose. And I think Tua is one of those. Everybody feels bad about the concussions. He's a kid of faith. He's a really nice kid. He's an easy guy to root for.
And he's not the problem with it's not like I'm saying this guy's a bum. This guy shouldn't be in the league. But I had a real problem just reconciling with people that I like and respect their opinion. We're like, I think he's the NFL's MVP.
It's like,
and I'm like, what are you doing? If there was an anonymous team vote, you think that he has 10 guys on that team that vote for not for the league MVP, for Dolphins MVP, that vote for him over Tyreek Hill? Like, no, you don't. And it's not even that you can't win with him. It's that everything has to be perfect. And the guys that it's not a long list of guys that things don't have to be perfect for. But those are the guys that have not all the value, but a wildly disproportionate amount of the value when it comes to who can win this time of year in the NFL.